Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode we're going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans 2017 offensive line. And I really wanted to do this, and the main reason I wanted to do this is because I already did the Dallas Cowboys line, obviously. But one of the other lines in the NFL that is so underrated is the Titans line. It's another team that, like the Cowboys, has made it an emphasis, has made it a major point of draft emphasis, if you will, to go out and get offensive line talent any way they can. And they've gotten some flack. You know, that's the funny thing about the Cowboys and the Titans is they've drafted certain players and people went, oh, you know, they're going to stay the Titans or they're going to stay the Cowboys, you know, drafting a guy that high. But it's really paid off for them. You know, they've taken the time and the effort to really get it right at the offensive line position. And a lot of that is because of the athleticism. They've had some pretty good UDFA pickups that I was a big fan of as well. But I just figure, you know what, I want to get to the offensive line of the Titans in terms of what they're doing, because it's very similar to the Cowboys line. It's eerily similar to that line in terms of how it's constructed, the types of athletes at different positions. So again, we'll get to the Titans line. We'll get through all the starters right now, and also what the potential starters might be as well in terms of certain positions, and just kind of go through everybody to show you that, hey, the Cowboys line is very good, and no doubt about it. It's a great offensive line. It's not the best offensive line, but the Titans line has almost as much, if not more, potential to be even better than the Cowboys line if everything goes right for them. So I just want to get into all the guys in the Titans, and, you know, again, we'll get to the list. The first guy I wanted to get to is Ben Jones, and he's a center that, of course, started his career in the Houston Texans and then made his way to the Titans, and I'm super excited. Like, I'm ecstatic because, first of all, based on his athleticism, he had an 84.74 explosive lower body strength score, a 37.12 speed score, and a 36.83 flexibility score. You may go, well, that's not great. The speed and flexibility isn't great. But he had an 84.74 explosive lower body strength score. Just to compare him to Travis Frederick, Frederick had a 65 score with less speed and less flexibility. Ben Jones is essentially like a souped-up version of Travis Frederick in terms of athleticism. He fits a ZBS scheme exceptionally well because when you have a guy who's that explosive, again, when you're talking about a ZBS scheme, you're not talking about guys pulling and getting out in space, you know, with that type of a scheme. You're talking about a guy who is exploding, short area quickness. And that's the biggest part of Ben Jones. You know, he has great short area quickness. He's able to strike extremely well. He's not able to maintain leverage. I mean, that's the biggest sort of weakness to him, is that obviously he's not very fast in space, and he's not able to maintain leverage for exceptionally long. But when you have a guy who's that explosive, who has that great a short area quickness, everything goes well with that type of guy. So I'm very excited to see how he keeps developing in this line, you know, how he keeps growing as a player. But I just think that there's lots of positives to him, and I thought it was a great free agency pickup for them. Like, Ben Jones is a great player, very underrated in my opinion, and I just think when you look at the type of scheme they're running or want to run, he just fits that exceptionally well. And I just hope he continues to develop and that line continues to gel a bit, because this could be really good when you have a center like him based on his athleticism. This is someone that could be a great foundational piece to a really good ZBS line. Also, one guy to mention here is Cory Levin. He was a draft pick that you guys acquired this year, and it makes sense why you acquired him. When it comes to his athleticism, he had a 47.56 explosive lower body strength score, a 74.38 speed score, and an 81.83 flexibility score. This is not quite as athletic as Josh Kline, and I will get to Josh Kline later on in this video, just a kind of a comparison, if you will, in terms of athleticism, but you should be really excited about the guard spot. Whether Klein wins the job, or even if it's a rotational situation where Cory Levin rotates with Josh Kline in certain situations, certain packages, if you will, which is what a lot of NFL teams are trying to do right now, you have probably in Josh Kline one of the most athletic guards in the NFL, with Cory Levin, who's also amongst one of the more athletic guards in the NFL. Levin pretty much hits every single threshold you're looking for when it comes to a Pro Bowl to even All-Pro player, with the exception of speed. Doesn't quite have the speed score of an All-Pro guard, at least the bottom threshold for All-Pro guards. But his flexibility is amazing. His explosiveness hits at least the threshold it's looking for, and his athleticism traits on paper just fit any scheme. You know, whether you're running a ZBS scheme, a power scheme, whatever, like there's flexibility here with his athleticism, and I'm really excited to see what happens this year, because it's a position where you have some, you know, Chance Warmack being gone opens up a vacuum to be filled, but I think Josh Kline and Cory Levin, if either one of those guys wins that spot and performs like they should perform based on paper, you should be really excited about this offensive line in the future. Next up, we have Jake Conklin, offensive tackle. He is someone, based on his athleticism, he had a 59.47 explosive lower body strength score, 89.27 speed score, and an 86.23 flexibility score. Based on paper, Jake Conklin had all-pro athleticism traits. And if you guys followed me in terms of the 2016 NFL Draft Analytics guide, Jake Conklin was the top tackle according to that guide. At least he was lumped with guys like all the other sort of players drafted that year, and he's turned out to be really good. There has been controversy about him in terms of how much help he receives and tight end splits and all this kind of stuff, but the bottom line is Jake Conklin, based on paper, has the physical ability to be an elite tackle at left or right tackle, and you should be very, very excited to have him for another year, see how he develops in that offense. But the bottom line is, this is what they're drafting. They're drafting great athletes, and Conklin is just amongst other great athletes on this team. Next, we have Josh Kline. Now, Josh Kline is a free agent signing. He's listed currently as the starter on the roster at a guard spot, but this is kind of why they got him in free agency. Based on his athleticism, he put up a 53.14 explosive lower body strength score, a 92.68 speed score, and a 92.15 flexibility score. Elite speed, elite flexibility with the amount of explosiveness that you want at the position. He basically has all-pro potential at the guard spot, and it should not be surprising why they targeted him. The Titans have a great offensive line, and it just keeps getting better with Josh Kline. So I'll be very excited to see if he can win the job there and just how things go with him, because he's just someone that was interesting on the Patriots. They were kind of wishy-washy on him in terms of what they wanted to do with him. You know, they kind of had him as a rotational guy. And we'll get into another player who might take his job as well, or at least a rotation sort of thing. But the bottom line is, Josh Kline is a great athlete, and it shouldn't be surprising why the Titans got him or acquired him or wanted him in free agency. Then, of course, we have spick and span, Quinton Span. Quinton Span is, as an athlete, he is amazing. A 90.10 explosive lower body strength score, a 98.04 speed score, and an 88.81 flexibility score. Amazing athleticism. In that draft class in particular, I was raving about Quinton Span. I had him as a first-round prospect. His film, although he was rough around the edges in terms of pass protection, his run blocking ability and just the nitty-gritty, the toughness, the whatever you want to call it, he has that. You know, he has that toughness. He has that sort of grit, if you will, in terms of his play at West Virginia. And I was very surprised he became a UDFA that year and has turned himself into one of the best guards on the Titans, if not one of the best guards in the NFL. And it makes sense when you have a guy that's this athletic that, sure, he may have some sort of issues with pass protection in terms of the technical aspects of that position, but you just give him a little bit of coaching, you clean up a couple things here and there, and you end up with someone in Quinton Span who I think he just doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. But the bottom line is, you got a very good player in him, and you should be really excited to have him in the future on the Titans. And last but not least, we have Taylor Lewan. Taylor Lewan, based on his athleticism, is probably one of the best athletes on the team. And you know, if you just look at his Athleticism, he had an 85.48 explosive lower body strength score, a 98.82 speed score, and a 97.83 flexibility score. Though just saying that out loud does not express the magnitude of this athleticism. He was an amazing athlete coming out of Michigan and has all-pro potential. Like, everything is here for him to be a great offensive tackle. And so far in his career, he's starting to live up to the hype, guys. So I think that when you look at Lewan, he was probably one of the first steps to revitalize this offensive line for them. And he was one of those first sort of draft picks that I really felt good when they made the pick as an analytics guy in terms of what they're trying to do here. And he's just a great foundational pick, and he's by far one of the most athletic offensive linemen in the NFL, and you should be really excited to have him for the future. So overall, when you look at the Tennessee Titans line and just going through the entire data and from an athletic perspective, this is one of the most athletic offensive lines in the NFL. You have one of the most athletic centers in the NFL in terms of explosives for size. You have some of the most athletic guards with some of the most athletic tackles in the NFL at both left and right tackle spot. Do you know how rare that is to have not only your left tackle to be an elite athlete, but also your right tackle? I mean, most teams have an athletic left tackle and a kind of average right tackle that tends to struggle a lot. And your team doesn't have that problem. You know, you have two super athletic guys on both sides, on top of what the guard play can be. If Josh Kline or Cory Levin, whichever one of those guys wins that spot, you're going to get some good things based on their athleticism. You know, like there's a lot of stuff on paper that if Cory Levin wins a job or Josh Kline wins a job, you're still going to be pretty good if any of those guys, at least if their athleticism translates onto the football field. So overall, I just wanted to get this Titans team out there in terms of a video because it's just super exciting, guys. Like, I really love offensive line play. I'll probably start doing a few videos on it when we get closer to the season in terms of offensive line film grades and stuff like that. But I just get really giggly when I see stuff like this, guys, and I get into offensive line analytics because it's a very new sort of thing. Not a lot of people do offensive line data. Not a lot of people put a lot of emphasis into offensive line data. I just think there's so many things that you can gain, that you can learn from this data when it comes to scheme fit, when it comes to what the weaknesses are, how to exploit some of those weaknesses, what they can be good at, what they can't be good at, because despite what people tell you, which is a common thing, that offensive line athleticism doesn't matter and it's all about technique and it's all about coaching. Yes, coaching matters. Yes, technique matters. Yes, athletic offensive lineman. Not every single athletic offensive lineman is going to be a great football player. But when you find great football players that have great athleticism, you get some of the best, if not the best, offensive linemen in the NFL. You know, I'm not going to sit here and make a video, actually I probably will, just kind of detailing all this sort of facts in terms of, you know, going through every single offensive lineman that has ever been amazing and looking at their athleticism. But the bottom line is, athleticism matters in terms of offensive linemen. And it matters in terms of scheme. It matters in terms of, like, overall upside. And it's just something I really want to get to. But the bottom line is, the Titans, super excited about this team. Super excited about what they have going on paper. And I would not be shocked if the Titans ended up becoming a playoff team, a surprise playoff team. Maybe not surprise, but I would not be shocked if that happened, because they have all the things on paper. They're built eerily similar to the Dallas Cowboys, guys. And I don't want to, like, you know, talk bad about that line. It's a great line as well. But there's so many similarities between the types of athletes that the Cowboys are putting up and the types of athletes that the Titans are putting up. And in many ways, the Titans are like the Cowboys, offensive line speaking, of the AFC, while the Dallas are the NFC. This is one of the best lines in the NFL, and this is going to be a year to really watch and enjoy, because I think there's going to be a lot of good things going on with this line now and in the future. So again, my name is James Coburn. You can find my work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.